Ever feel like certain societies got a head start in history and everyone else is playing catch up? Well, today we're diving deep into a book that tackles that very question. Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond. You might know Diamond from his other work like Collapse, but Guns, Germs, and Steel is a classic for a reason. It even snagged a Pulitzer Prize. So Diamond kicks off the book with this great anecdote about his time in New Guinea. He's chatting with a local politician named Yali, and Yali hits him with this question: why do you white people have so much cargo, meaning like material goods, and we New Guineans have so little? I mean, talk about cutting to the chase.
Okay.
That one question gets right to the heart of global inequality, and it sends Diamond on this epic quest to understand why history has unfolded so differently for different societies. And get this, he throws those old theories about racial superiority right out the window. We're talking about something much bigger here.
It's so interesting because Diamond realizes that New Guineans are incredibly smart and resourceful. To say that biological differences explain global inequality would be like saying the Mona Lisa is just a bunch of random paint splatters. You have to look at the whole picture.
It's not about the individual brushstrokes, right? It's about the artist's vision, the historical context, the technique. And that's what Diamond does with history. He gets us to zoom out and see those big picture forces that have shaped different societies. And that's where it gets really fascinating. He introduces this pivotal moment, the dawn of food production. Just imagine 1 hectare of land just, existing naturally versus 1 hectare being carefully farmed. The difference in how much food they produce is mind-blowing. It completely changes everything.
Oh, absolutely. Food production, agriculture, raising livestock, it completely revolutionized how humans lived. It's like this domino effect that changed every aspect of society.
Right.
Think about it. Once people can grow their own food, they can settle down. They don't have to constantly wander around searching for something to eat. This leads to larger populations, and this is key food surpluses.
And those surpluses are what make everything else possible, right? Because now some people don't have to spend all their time just trying to find food.
Exactly. That's when you start to see specialized jobs emerging. Some people can farm, others can make pottery, you have warriors. This paves the way for more complex societies, political systems, armies, empires. And remember, guns, germs, and steel. Well, that surplus is what allows for things like standing armies, which eventually leads to guns. Larger populations become more vulnerable to germs, and specialized labor leads to innovations like steel. It all goes back to that fundamental shift to producing food.
Wow. Okay. So food production is like this massive turning point. But it's not like everyone suddenly figured it out at the same time, right? I mean, it's obvious that societies developed at different speeds. So where did this whole revolution start?
That's where we get into the fascinating world of geography and how it's affected human development. Diamond takes us to a specific region, the Fertile Crescent. This area was just teeming with plant and animal species that were perfect for domestication. I mean, just imagine the possibilities. Wheat, barley, lentils, sheep, goats, all ready and waiting to be domesticated. Compare that to a place like New Guinea, where they had far fewer options.
It's like the Fertile Crescent was playing on easy mode or something.
Right.
But Diamond really digs into why those early advantages were so crucial. He compares the Fertile Crescent to other places where food production popped up independently, like New Guinea and the eastern U.S., and it becomes clear that the Fertile Crescent had some serious environmental advantages.
Totally. First, you've got that Mediterranean climate.
Rare.
Different altitudes mean you've got a ton of microenvironments, perfect for all kinds of crops.
Makes sense.
Plus, a much higher percentage of the plants there were just better suited to domestication, not to mention the big mammals that could be domesticated. Oxen for plowing and such.
So geography really gave the Fertile Crescent a head start. It's mind-blowing to think about how different things might have turned out if those advantages had been somewhere else. But here's a question I've always had. Why didn't food production just spread everywhere once people figured it out? Like, California is a huge agricultural center now, but Diamond points out that farming didn't actually reach California from the Southwest U.S., even though they're right next door. So what's the deal with that?
That's where Diamond brings up this idea of geographical barriers.
Yeah.
And it's huge.
Okay.
Because it's not enough to just have the right plants and animals for food production. They also have to be able to spread easily.
Ah.
Think about Eurasia. You've got this east-west axis with pretty similar climates along the same latitude. So crops and livestock that did well in one place could spread east or west without running into totally different climates.
Like a free pass across the continent.
Exactly. Same latitude, same climate, everybody's happy.
But I'm guessing it wasn't that simple everywhere, huh?
Nope. Now picture the Americas north-south. If crops and livestock tried to move north or south, they'd hit a wall of different climates.
Ah, that makes sense.
Think about how latitude affects plants. The length of the day, the temperature, how much rain there is, all those things tell a plant when to grow, when to flower, when to make seeds.
Right.
Mess with those signals, and the plant's doomed.
Wow.
So something that flourishes down south might totally flop if you try to grow it up north.
So geography really was destiny, at least when it comes to farming.
Yeah.
And that difference in how easily food production could spread helps explain why some societies developed faster. But Diamond doesn't stop there.
Nope.
He goes on to explore another fascinating and kind of unsettling consequence of food production: germs.
Exactly. Diamond says that living close to domesticated animals exposed people to a whole new world of diseases.
So those early farmers were like accidental conquerors, armed with these invisible weapons. It's crazy to think about how interconnected everything is.
It really is.
Geography, food production, even diseases. It's not just about who's got the best land, it's about all these ripple effects that play out over time.
Exactly. And that brings us back to Yali's question. Why do some societies have so much while others have so little? Diamond wants us to look beyond the obvious answers, military strength, technology, and think about those deep-rooted environmental and geographical factors that have shaped everything.
It's like a giant puzzle, and Diamond has given us these key pieces: food production, geography, germs. And when we put those pieces together, we can start to see why the world looks the way it does. But it's not about saying one society is better than another.
Right.
It's about understanding those historical processes. How does this understanding of the past help us with the present? What can we learn from this?
That's the big question, isn't it? Diamond's book reminds us that the past doesn't just disappear. It shapes the present in huge ways. And by really grasping these deep historical forces, we can start to see the world differently. We can understand that complex web of advantages and disadvantages that still influences global inequality today.
It's a call to action, to look at those echoes of the past and ask those tough questions about why the world is the way it is. So as we wrap up this deep dive into guns, germs, and steel, here's something to think about. What can we do with this knowledge? How can we use this understanding of history to create a fairer world? Keep those questions in mind, and until next time, keep diving deep.